Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Random, our TakeOff Sports Talk segment, SmallwoodWorldWide, back with the Goodman brothers. And today, we're going to bring you our GOATs and NDAs episode. So, it's a juicy one. Buckle up, folks. Fellas, what do we think about Zion Williamson, the road to Zion? Or should we say the train through Zion? Listen, all the problems he's having with the women folk out here. He announced a pregnancy with his lady, and what came next, nobody would have expected, right? Wild allegations, other women saying they may or may not be pregnant. If you're an NBA player, NFL player, NHL player, any kind of star player, and if you're a player, should you have an NDA to try to keep things in order there? Arch, let's kick it off with you.
Wow, what a musical. I think.
Let's do it.
Well, let me address something first. I think that Zion's a little bit different because he has been famous probably since the 11th grade. But for most people who like come into fame, I would imagine it would be hard to find a mate that you feel like you can trust, love you for just you. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of women that might hang around you and hang on to you just because they know what you're worth at the end of the day. Whether that's right or wrong is, up to other people to decide. But I could see where a lot of famous people use prostitutes and or people who get paid to have sex on a regular basis to be with on a normal basis. I don't know if they get married to them or have kids with them. That's a different story. I'm not here to try to comment.
Zion was like, you know what? Let's make a baby.
Yeah, I mean, like Cocaine Bear was wilding, but I mean, like, I just think that the heavy god man, he just got caught up. He got caught up in the air. But I think that the NDA thing, I would say no. I would say no personally. I tell you what I would advise people to do if I was their lawyer or in the circle. I would be like, you need to get a vasectomy. Is it a vasectomy? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Because you can get it reversed until you meet the right one. So that way, if you skeet in one of these hoes and they think they're getting money, then they're not. So that's kind of like my biggest advice. But as far as the NDA part goes, I would say no.
Nice. So yeah. I'm gonna jump in, right? So I'm big on the NDA thing just because once somebody hits that level of fame, especially Zion, who's been famous since, what'd you say, like 11 years old or something like
11th grade, give or take, yeah.
He's a target at that point, right? And so he's young, he's having fun. And just imagine being 20 years old without the money and seeing women and knowing how you reacted at that time. And then being 22 years old, a big time millionaire, world at your feet, having access to almost any woman you want. You kind of need to protect yourself from yourself, This isn't even the worst or wildest NBA story that, if you know in sports, but I think that the NBA protects it from all the social media aspect, all the different text messages being exposed, videos and all that, that privacy element. So I'm big on the NDA joint. Greg, what you think?
Look, man, Zion, why are we surprised? Like, why are we surprised?
What do you mean?
Like, Zion couldn't put down the fork for millions. You think you're going to give us ass?
Okay.
It's going to happen.
Okay.
It's going to happen. And you know what? I don't care what Zion does. As long as Zion is happy. Because he's going to have to literally ride this gravy train as long as he can.
Yo, don't take shots at the heavy god, man. Don't take shots.
Hey, look, man. Only shots he's going to be taking in a couple of years is shots of insulin. Point being is this.
Come on.
Point being is this. NDA or not, they're not going to shut up. Right? That's just one. There's too many ways to get information out. The last person I seen get away with something like that should have been out there was Drake. That's what we needed to talk to. He needed to talk to Drake on how to hide a porn baby. That's what we should have hollered at. But
not a bad idea.
Yeah, you need to get Drake in the corner. But the thing is, like, I'm not even mad at him.
No.
Like, you're 22 and a millionaire. Like, not even like multi-millionaire. More money than he can spend at Popeyes at this point. But
why?
He can buy all the Big Necks in New Orleans at this point.
Don't talk about Cocaine Bear like that. Chill,
look,
guys.
The only thing now is people ain't gonna look at him funny when he gets the family meal when he goes out, because now he.
Come on, friends. That's not the way to go after.
Because he realized how the family now be. But look, man, like, I don't know what people are expecting. He's 22. Right. like I'll put it to you like this: people are throwing, running Zion through the ringer and all that stuff. But when Ja was doing what he was doing there, like he's only 23.
Yep.
Yeah, Zion's only 22. Mistakes are gonna be made.
Yeah.
Now the only difference is these mistakes are gonna leave him broke. They might not leave him dead like Ja's mistakes might leave him dead, but these mistakes may leave him broke. And I'm not even talking about broke like our standards. I'm talking about like NBA broke, which
he'd
is
be like rich people broke,
Yeah, he'll be rich broke. Like when 50 Cent claimed bankruptcy. He wasn't broke. I don't know why he did it. I have no idea what 50 Cent business is. What I do know is he wasn't broke.
Yeah.
But like why? Like if you're gonna live that lifestyle, why not deal with the best? That's what I'm saying. Why not deal with the best?
Also,
mistakes
I think
were
that.
made, huh?
Now I was gonna say also and I don't think it'll ever happen, but see some of the athletes to deal with somebody that's on their level, so that it's like an equal something to lose there. Like some of the women, they have everything to gain, and that's where this wildness comes from. Like I think the current lady, she's been tweeting for like 4 days straight now. I'm like, all right,
I feel like she might have really caught feelings with Zion. I think
she probably did
right.
feelings.
I think that was a legit thing.
Yeah.
She was pretty upset.
Yeah, undoubtedly she caught feelings more than likely.
She is hurt.
But like I said, Zion's 22, rich, and obviously had a lot of time on his hands because he played like 20-something games this year.
That's not, don't talk about Coach.
So,
I mean, he's on slate to be back by All-Star break next year.
Yeah, come on, man. What y'all doing, man?
He is on slate to get a Grand Slam breakfast. That's all he was on slate.
Man, come on,
yo,
man.
T, what you got for us, yo? What do you got?
You gotta give me a second to get over this Grand Slam breakfast.
It's not even sport, man. Come on. Man.
All right. Well, I just got to say my first impression when I saw it was, I don't think he met them at Duke. But all right, Mr. Zion, whatever you like, buddy. The NDA thing is an interesting concept, right? But social media again, man. I mean, that's got to be the rule. That's got to be the law. I mean, he's a professional athlete. I don't know how much stuff gets, swept under the rug for them on their behalf, but they, those people that help sweep stuff under the rug can't control everything. So if by NDA you mean Zion's got to, talk to his people that he deals with and be like, hey, no social media stuff, no Instagramming the baby, none of that stuff, because that's really what got him caught up, right? Not
exactly.
That he was doing it, is that something got posted, and what I blame him the most for is what he told that woman.
Yeah.
Like if you
sweet talk there. Yeah.
Yeah, if he had, just said, "Hey, this is the deal," maybe it wouldn't have been her, but he would have had somebody else who would probably keep their mouth shut, and if they know the deal. But if he's telling her he's going to move her to New Orleans and all this kind of stuff, of course she was hurt when she saw that.
Yeah,
this is has a lot in my mind less to do with her profession and more to do with just her being a woman, right? And he told her basically, we're going to be together. And then this happened. So you can't expect anything other than what she did to him. I mean, he kind of brought it on himself. And that's his biggest mistake at 22.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, why should Zion be different than any other 22-year-old? Of course he's lying to her.
That's pretty far, man. I mean,
well, yeah,
it is, but
I'm not saying these are big lies.
I will say that, like, so they did this special on Zion some years ago, and one of the things that his high school teachers used to rave about was his ability to write poetry. So the kid's a romantic. It's a young romantic. And he's living out his fantasies to be able to romance these porn stars off of their feet.
He's an Ohio player.
He's on his T-Pain though, right? Booty gone.
He is. Goosebumps.
Like it ain't nothing.
Yeah.
But the thing that's funny to me though is that she's in her 30s, right? And you would think that, he said he's going to move her to New Orleans, whatever he was doing, sweet talking her, that she would have some kind of expectations that he's 22. You got to know the league that you're playing in, not the NBA league, but the league of you're in your 30s. This person's in their very early 20s. It is what it is. And so I just look at it from a perspective that regardless of what he said, she also had to temper her expectations, because I know there's a third person now that's kind of popped out, and these things tend to happen.
Casanova, he's heavy Casanova, baby. He's like Gerald Levert. He's bringing it back.
Yeah.
Listen, he was getting Popeyes all over the place.
Casanova.
2-piece extra crispy. You know, but it takes me back to when he was at Duke, right? And he was actually like the Casanova on video, the one girl from the Milk Yacht. You remember? Zion was up there with his shirt off, and he was in that bed after practice and talking and, you know, saying what he's saying. And I'm like, come on, man. You can't be caught out there like this. This only gets worse at the next level when there's actual money involved. So
see, what y'all don't understand is in the moment, Zion means what he's saying. After the moment, he don't care no more. Like
I was just messing with those girls. I'm gonna be right back.
Huh?
Zion said, "I'm just messing with those girls. I'm gonna be right back."
Yeah. I said
after this road trip,
he's all I'm saying is he's 22, man. He's 22.
He's getting in like the Hum Diddley.
Yeah.
Yeah, you some toe curl and hamstring popping experiences with these women.
Yeah, man. Keeping them out the game.
Yeah. Listen, he was staying in shape, right? He's getting.
I'm gonna say he's in better shape than they ever gave him credit for.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's working out.
I was like, Zion was getting a real workout. Here we are thinking he's just chilling and eating. Nah.
Somebody check that guy's watch, that Apple Watch.
Those stats went. He hit the record all 3 times every day.
Yeah, man.
But
his calves and hammies were hurt for other reasons. He been doing too much work. They've been doing hoe squats.
Okay. And listen,
he
so we know
like
Zion's 22.
Baby boy. He hopping around with him. He doing this. He doing his thing, man.
We hope to see you back on the court again soon, Zion. You know,
he's gonna be in some kind of court. I don't know if it's a basketball court.
Come on.
Either way, he's gonna be on the court somewhere.
He's gonna come back playing for his life. So listen, we'll see him back soon. Wish him the best with this scenario and situation. But before we pivot to our next topic, for somebody who's not 22 and somebody who absolutely knows better, got to give a shout out to the Las Vegas Aces. MVP Defensive Player of the Year, Asia Wilson. They off to a hot start there, 7-1. Check him out on the WNBA League Pass. That's a plug. And now what we're going to do, we're going to move to Scottie Pippen. Now, I think Scottie is tripping here, and that might be his name, Scottie Trippin, right? He says Michael Jordan not only was a horrible player, but he was a horrible teammate as well. Now, number one, does anybody on the planet, matter of fact, no, somebody go call Thor in Asgard. Does anybody anywhere, anytime believe that Michael Jordan was a horrible player? What do we think about that? Greg, what is Scottie tripping?
Yeah. Scottie's bugging all the way out. But we know why Scottie's bugging out. Like, it's like, you know, Scottie in his heart doesn't believe this. Now, half of it's true. He probably was a terrible teammate. You know, Jordan's been known to cuss people out, you know, for not being Jordan. You know what I'm saying? It's some, you know, he's making heights that just ain't possible for everybody. His standards are really high. But to call the man a horrible player, let's look through the evidence. Even when they weren't winning any playoff games and everything else, and this man was averaging 37 points or whatever, it's a ridiculous statement. Now to say that he could have said he didn't trust his teammates, you know, they could have said he was ball hogging. They could have said the way he played the game, he didn't enjoy it because it was just all one-on-one.
Right.
But to say he's a terrible player is ridiculous. It's just bad. Like, he's the best of the best. You know, like, he's making professionals look like amateurs at the highest level. And he was in his rookie year. Like, nobody will ever say that Michael Jordan is a bad player.
No, I don't understand
mean it. It's just not. There's no evidence for it.
If you want to say that he's a horrible teammate to play with, I said find me a GOAT that isn't a horrible teammate, because in order to be great, there's things that you do that the average person doesn't do. There are some people who show up to practice in the NBA or NFL or MLB, and they want to do their job and go home. But if you want to be an all-time great, you got to put in a different level of work. You have a different mentality. And I don't know that I find that to be a horrible teammate. It's why people don't like to play with LeBron James, because what is he called? Championship expectations. Some guys just want to go courtside, you know, like Jordan Poole. They wink at a couple girls and they're like, hey, listen, I know what I'm doing after the game. But when you look at MJ, when you look at Bron, even when you look at Kareem and Magic, these guys were there to win. Winning was the first thing at the forefront of their mind. So when I say, was Jordan a horrible teammate? Maybe. Depends on your perspective.
But look, even in Jordan's defense, he's been around those dudes. A lot of them were on crack, to quote Stephen A. Smith. You can't pass the ball to crackheads and expect them to do the right thing. You had a team full of cokeheads. Of course he's going to be selfish because he wants to win. He didn't trust the teammates. Later on, when they got a whole team and developed into a cohesive unit, when they got Phil Jackson and everybody else, then he toned down his scoring a little bit. He passed the ball and he looked out because those guys were all on his program. Of course, when he first got there, nobody was on his program. He wasn't even the team leader. He was just there balling. And he knows these guys' habits, and he didn't trust them. Once again, does that make him a bad teammate? Maybe in their eyes, but for him, it's about winning, and he's realized he can't win with them. So he did what he had to do. He ball hogged and got them to the playoffs. And then it was all over as soon as they ran into the Celtics.
Yo, T, what you got for us?
Scotty is tripping. He is definitely tripping. I mean, that stuff he's talking, it doesn't even make any sense. I mean, even if you don't know anything about basketball, everybody was locked down for COVID. Everybody watched The Last Dance. I don't think anybody walked away from that video saying, why'd they even bother to make that? That guy can't play. What are you talking about, man? I mean, he's been in the debate to be the greatest player that's ever played since his third or fourth year in the league or something like that.
Obviously since his first or second championship.
Okay. And Bird was like, listen, after he saw him in that playoffs, he was like, yo, that was God in a pair of sneakers, yo. This kid is now.
That's a quote. I mean, and that's Larry Bird. He's not just giving people praise because it's fun. He's out there cutting people and calling them scrubs while playing. And he gave Michael Jordan this huge compliment. I mean, Pippen, for him to say that Jordan's a bad teammate, I will say this. If all the things that he did not result in the winning that they experienced, maybe you can say that.
Right.
But when the champagne,
you can't even say it then.
When the champagne was flowing and the trophy was being raised, every one of them, whose arms did they jump into first? Mike, right? If he was such a horrible teammate, they wouldn't have done that. I mean, I think that they all understood what he was trying to do. Everyone's got their own leadership style.
Yeah.
He's a no-nonsense guy when it comes to basketball. That's all he focuses on. That's all he cared about, right? I mean, people would ask him about issues and stuff all the time when he was playing, and he always, kind of pushed it aside and focused. If that's the person that's on your team, they're going to be hard on you because they're hard on themselves. He's how many hours out there perfecting this thing. And for you to, if you're going to try to shirk your responsibility or not work as hard as him, of course he's going to treat you, like less than. But I think every single person that ever played with him walked away a better player.
Yes.
And he's not
have a choice.
A teammate. Yeah. So Scotty, man, he's like a sine wave, man. He's all over the place, man. It's like sometimes what he says sounds crazy, and then later on, like, oh, okay, well, maybe he's got a point. But I think he's just way out there on this one again.
But like you said, though, we know why Scotty's saying this.
True.
This ain't got nothing to do with basketball. This is some real personal shit.
Bring basketball into it.
Exactly. That's my thought, T. Like, if you're going to bring basketball into it, it has to be about basketball. Like, if this was a horrible teammate, sign me up every year. I want to win a championship. I want to do back-to-back three-peats. It's just great, right? But the thing is Scotty is up here tripping off of something personal. When you look at the performance on the court, yes, when he got there, they started winning championships, right? Does that mean he was the key catalyst to that? No, he was a part of why that wheel turned. But we all know without MJ, they were not going to win the championship. So if MJ twisted his ankle, were they going to beat Magic Johnson and those 91 Lakers? No. Were they going to beat the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons in the playoffs? No. Were they going to go out there and would they have beaten, let's say, Olajuwon had they not gotten that bad call against the Knicks and gone to the finals? No. Scottie was not going to lead them with that. MJ is the guy that you needed to make that happen. And the most important, I'm going to borrow from T what he mentioned with The Last Dance, right? So I watch that almost like once a month. It's so great. But the thing is, Jordan says leadership comes with a price, right? In order to lead any group of individuals, there's something extra that you're going to endure. A part of that is you might piss some people off with, hey, you got to push them to get them the extra mile because everybody's not going to be on that same track of success or everybody's not going to be willing to put in that level of work. And not one time did I hear during the course of them together, and you didn't need social media to hear things because we had these little things called newspapers, right? Guess what? People always talk to reporters, beat writers, etc. Not once did you hear somebody say, man, Jordan's the most horrible teammate ever, and he's a horrible player. Never heard that. Not once. Aj, what you got for us? Well, I see you, Greg. I see you, but
Greg's probably thinking about Horace Grant. But I mean, like, there's a couple of different points I was gonna say. So, Scotty always does come off like it seems like he's overshooting stuff. But I will remind people that when he had called Phil Jackson a racist a long time ago, people was like, Scotty's tripping, blah, 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 blah. Now, Phil Jackson is, born out to be at least biased in some way.
Since he's wearing a uniform.
since the statement has come out, right? So I will say that Scotty might just be, Scott Stradamus as far as we know, right? But I will say, from the standpoint of Michael Jordan being a bad basketball player, there are only a couple of people that I can think of that would come to his defense. The guy who cut him from varsity in 10th grade, and possibly Isaiah Thomas. Other than that, most people believe that Michael Jordan is among the greatest players who's ever lived. Even people who he denied to get a ring over and over again.
Yep.
But hurt people, man. I mean, like Scotty's a hurt person. He was doing what he could to hurt Michael Jordan. And although I think Michael Jordan is in a lot of ways an SOB, he also, every time I've ever seen him give a speech, he says, "No. See, this is not."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know where you're going with the whole Scotty thing.
Every time he gives a speech, he says none of this would have been possible without Scottie Pippen. And I remember even in the book, I want to say Rare Air, when he had talked about Scottie Pippen, he had mentioned the word, he was a predator on defense, which is something that I've never heard anyone describe anyone like before. So it's like, I think he has a very high level of respect for Scottie from a basketball standpoint. And maybe even as a person, he does too. I mean, every once in a while he'd get upset when he felt like he had to do everything himself. But I think that's also something that Michael Jordan kind of put on himself, or maybe even the way the Bulls.
Well, no, I will give Michael Jordan this: he would never dog Scotty's game, never in his life.
No, he never did.
I'm just saying, I just know him because he does not like Isaiah Thomas at all, and he still says Isaiah Thomas is the second baddest point guard ever.
Yeah,
he would never say nothing bad about Scotty's game.
No, that's true because I think he
will not disrespect the game.
He's also in a position where he doesn't have to throw shots like that at his competitors. Not in their face. You know what I mean? I know he says a lot of crazy stuff in people's faces, even to his peers, but he can get away with it because everybody recognizes, like, hey man, that's Mike. I mean, like we can't say it's not true compared to him, right? But Mike has always been very. He's always praised Scotty a lot when it's come to basketball and what Scotty has meant to him personally in terms of basketball success. So it's hurt people. I think that Scotty will probably be proven to be right in some aspects of what he's saying, but
not really.
Well,
not on the court. I don't think so.
Not really.
I think people have seen Michael Jordan's antics enough to know that he's not the greatest person living. I mean,
no, like I said, I'll give him the maybe possibly bad teammate stuff, the bad player stuff.
Nope. I can't give that.
Yeah. Nope. I mean, like, sure.
And like I said, that's only in the beginning when they were losing, when he was taking all those hard shots and difficult shots because he didn't trust any of those other dudes. So
I mean, when Bob Love is your greatest second offensive player, that's kind of tough.
You talk to Isaiah Thomas. I mean, what do you want to say?
Even I don't think Isaiah Thomas
would.
I think the worst Isaiah Thomas would say about Jordan is he's the second best player of all time. I think that's the worst he would say about him.
As far as Isaiah Thomas talk. Michael,
I'm talking about as far as just basketball. I'm talking about just basketball. The worst he would say is he's not the GOAT. He would never say that Mike's a bum or Mike plays bad.
Well,
those wouldn't come out. The respect for the game is too high. I'm not talking about his game. I'm talking about the game of basketball. The respect for the game of basketball is too high for him to be dishonest about it.
But I wonder if you locked Isaiah Thomas in a room with MJ right now and forced him to talk. You remember there was like I know they did one with Shaq and Kobe, and before that I think it was it Magic and somebody else or whatever?
It was Magic and Isaiah.
Magic and Isaiah. Like, I wonder would they work things out, you know, because it's very personal.
They would work it out with them hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike don't seem like the forgiving type.
Magic wanted to read it.
Mike ain't the one I'm worried about. Isaiah's attacking the meat on site. He's on site. I think it's on site. I don't know.
I think you can reason with. I think Isaiah Thomas you can almost reason with. I don't think you can reason with Mike.
That dude's from
Chicago,
yeah.
Real Chicago.
I think whatever reasoning that Scotty might have had, whatever little small glimmer of hope, I think is gone. I'll be honest. I think after his last set of commentary here, I think him and Mike are probably done for good. And it's unfortunate because
done.
I know, but now it's like, you know.
Yeah, Mike ain't giving type. Him and Charles Barkley were super tight, and Charles said something like, Mike is not managing this team well, and they ain't talked since. So you think he gonna let this slide? Nah. It's a wrap.
What he said about Mike is almost like, 30 years after 30-year high school reunion of that team, Teen Wolf team. Somebody interviewed one of the other people on the team saying that Teen Wolf was a terrible basketball player.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, right? He was carrying
Yeah, and it didn't have to be like the fat dude, Francis. He
was an all.
Marty McFly was a ball.
He was a bum, and he was horrible in that play too.
But yo, Scotty, we wish you happy healing. We know it's deep. We know it's personal. Nobody can ever tell you how to feel, but wish you the best going forward. But right now, let's pivot into somebody else, right? That me personally, I hope he does get the help that he needs or whatever it is that he's seeking. Ja. What is Ja Morant doing, right? We talked about this before. The whole world talked about this before. And now we're back again. If you don't know, flashing a gun again on Instagram, Instagram Live to be more specific. And now he's facing a extra long suspension, which keeps being teased out by Adam Silver, the commissioner. Anybody jumping at this? What do you think should happen with Ja? Number one, do you think he should, being that he didn't break the law, however, we know how it is, you work for an organization, et cetera, maybe it's a moral clause or whatever, but does he deserve half a season or a full season suspension, or what kind of help should they seek to try to get him at this point to ensure that he's not going to damage his career or himself long term?
You're talking about the league or what the team should do?
The league. Great question.
I think the league is going to hit him with it's going to be no less than 15, 20 games. It's going to be more than that. He's at least getting that much. And I think they should make it like a mandatory therapy. So, and if I was like if he wasn't such an asset to the team, the Grizzlies, if I was the owner of the Grizzlies, if I actually cared about him, I'd trade him. Because he needs a new environment. He needs if he wasn't such an asset, I would trade him. Because he's going to end up dead, man.
He's
You
not
can't
as
do
big
it.
of an asset as you think. I mean, he's an asset from the standpoint of he's a fan favorite, but that team.
That's what I'm saying. No, it's not even about that. He brings money to that organization. He's an exciting player. He's a great player. They can still, they can hold a solid record without him. But he's the excitement. He puts booties in the seats. You know what I mean? But he's just in a bad way right now. I don't understand what he's trying to do. Because before, when we were talking about him, I was like, he needs new friends. Maybe it's just who he is, man. Maybe it ain't his boys. Maybe it's just him.
That's what I started to wonder.
So I don't know. But I think they need to suspend him because obviously he kind of made them think that he was going to change his ways, that things were going to get better. And, the suspension isn't really about the gun at this point. It's about the lie to my face. Yeah. So there's that. But I think they need to suspend him, and he needs to go to mandatory therapy or mandatory something to see what's going on with him. Because, I mean, if he just wants to throw it all away, that's not a problem. He can throw it all away. He's a grown man. He can make his own decisions.
Yeah,
but
I think that
I know they're going to do something to him. Then it's going to be rough.
I think they're definitely suspending him for the life. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, yeah. I was just saying, but if they do suspend him with all that idle time, are we going to have more incidences? That's my question. That's why they need to send him somewhere. Because it can only get worse if he just rich and bored and he just out in these streets. It's not a good look, not for a guy like him. But yeah, go ahead.
No, all good. I'm with you. I think the mandatory therapy thing or something as an A like there should be part of the suspension. I think he's probably going to be facing suspension half the season. I don't think he'll get the whole season, but I definitely think he's getting suspended a longer amount of time for telling Adam Silver that, hey, I've changed and this, that, and the third, and has come right back and pretty much did the same thing and laughing about it. And to make matters worse, now they're like, oh, no, it was a toy. And I'm like, stop. Sometimes less is more. Like, we didn't need, because even if it is a toy, it's just like, really?
Right, first off, stop the cat. That's one.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous at this point. And I think that regardless of whatever the suspension is, I think his father needs to step up and I'll never tell anybody how to parent, but at this point, he needs to have a real sit-down conversation, and understand what's going on with him mentally, and try to help him pivot in a positive direction, because right now he's about to lose on track probably everything, more than just the money, potentially his life as well, because it's an element of recklessness there that it just continues to get worse and worse and worse. And it's less about the people depending upon him and his contract and his career that he has, and more just about him, the human being, and it just feels like something is off there. You don't need a degree in anything to notice that, it's not, this isn't, and I don't like to say normal, but this isn't normal behavior here, to just be consistently with the weapon, hey, look at me, I'm on live again. And hey, I'm back again. Hey, guess what I'm doing? And it's like, come on, man. We don't need pictures of you in the gym, but you gotta chill on that. And also everything doesn't need to be live. I just think that the circle he has, they need to really think long and hard about that, because if he gets cut from the Grizzlies, I don't know that he gets picked up again. And we've seen that
get picked up
again. Maybe. Maybe.
I wasn't sure what I was going to say on this segment because it's difficult. I didn't take exception, but I thought that it was a really good point that Greg made when he was like, if you give people idle time and they're like that, but as you were talking, I started thinking about things outside of sports and kids nowadays, in terms of, how people do with the kids nowadays and generations and stuff like that. I think he is a man of his generation. He's not a serious person in some ways. He believes that having a gun in one way or another is not only cool, but necessary in one way or another. I think that mentally he feels as if, if it wasn't done on the gram, then it wasn't done at all. You know what I mean? Which is another thing of his generation. I think he is a person of his generation, and that he might be an extreme case of it, but he's an extreme talent as well. And so everything about him is an extreme. And I think the only thing that can honestly get him to act in a way that we have grown accustomed to our superstars acting, the LeBron Jameses, the Steph Currys, and even to an extent a James Harden, who although he might be wild, but you don't never hear about it. You know what I mean? Like, even that, just to get him to act as role models. We're incredibly fortunate that we've had these young black men who play basketball being like the cleanest of role models that you could ask for the last 20 years. It's so much so that what he's doing now, even though, as you pointed out, it's not illegal, it's a huge outlier to where people are like, I mean, the first thing that pointed us to his behavior in the first place were other NBA players being like, yo, he's pointing like laser pointers into the thing. Back in the 80s, people might have been like, yo, stop the books. Nowadays kids are like, oh my gosh, he's flashing this thing in here. We need to get security over here because, this is real life. And I think that I think he's just a man of his generation. The only thing that's going to help him is time, honestly. And and whether that time should be spent on the court or off the court or away from the court or away from fame or whatever, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if either of those things would help. I mean, all it means is that he'd have less money to do whatever with, which I don't even think is necessarily a good thing. But yeah, I think time is all he would need. I don't know how much, but he would need that.
I think everything you guys said was very thoughtful, very deep. I'm going superficial here. Maybe not necessarily superficial.
Oh.
But I honestly think, all right, so back in the day, you guys are probably, you guys all went to public school or Dodd school or whatever. There have been times where, a fire alarm was tripped and nobody ever found out who did it. Right? Now, if we fast forward to these days, somebody trips a fire alarm, but they post it for the world to see. Right? So they're basically, they're the exact same act. The difference is you showed everybody that you were the one that pulled the fire alarm. I think if he needs therapy for anything, it's to divorce himself from putting his life out there for everybody to see it. Could have been doing all this stuff and we never would have known one thing about it. I would have never known that John Morant carries a firearm. I wouldn't have known that. You guys wouldn't have known it either. He could go around. Maybe he's a gun enthusiast or whatever. He likes guns. I mean, I got plenty of friends that love guns, carry guns in their cars and whatever else, right? But they don't tell everybody. They don't go put it on Instagram. I think his real problem is that, to use Aj's words, he's a man of his generation, and unfortunately, that means, in my old mind, oversharing. We don't need to know that stuff. You like guns? Fine. Keep it to yourself, man. You like porn stars? Cool, man. Keep it to yourself. I mean, we don't need to know that. We don't care about that. I just want to see you play basketball. Here you get up on the mic and make us proud. That's all I want.
Indeed.
That's all I want. Indeed. The rest of that stuff.
Yeah, we're all grown men. We don't care, but kids care. And I think that's what he's doing this for. They want to see all the nitty gritty and stuff like that. And even
but if they don't see it, are they gonna not like him?
People love Kawhi Leonard. They don't see nothing from him.
Exactly.
At all.
Fair enough.
Apple time.
To the point they have to make sketches to be like, I wonder what Kawhi would do here. Because you know nothing about him.
Don't know.
Yeah. Kawhi could have robbed the bank last week. Don't nobody know. And he ain't saying nothing.
That's right.
He ain't saying a damn thing about it.
You got a secret is safe with Kawhi.
Yeah, I tell Kawhi my deepest secrets. Everything. But my real thing with John, it's not even that he's carrying the gun. It's like y'all said, him flashing and everything else. And it's like, I know what he's doing is not illegal, but to me, he's putting his own life in jeopardy by doing this. Any incident with the police, they're going to assume he's strapped up now. John can get shot up by the police.
Yep.
All these dudes out here, it's not like people don't get robbed in Memphis and killed.
Oh,
so if they roll up on him, they're going to assume he's strapped. And if he start moving funny, he's dead. Like, these are the things that concern me about him.
They kill
You know
rich
what I'm saying?
people in Memphis. They don't care.
Yeah.
They kill
But
rich
you
people.
saw the two NFL players recently from the Cleveland Browns both got robbed at gunpoint for stuff.
Yeah, I
It's
heard
like,
about
so
that.
I
Yeah.
get it, but it you know.
Like I said, and that's my concern for Ja. I don't care that he has a gun, but him doing what he's doing and flashing it and everything else, that's putting a target on his back. So if there's any kind of static, people are gonna assume he's strapped up and they're gonna pull out on him.
Yeah.
And he does not seem to be the one that does that backs away from static.
What they gonna do, Chuck?
Yeah. What do you do, Chuck? What do you do, Chuck, back there? Yeah, but he doesn't seem to be one to back down from problems, and it's not a good look for him, man. He's gonna end up like if he ends up getting shot, like at this point, nobody's gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised.
Nobody would.
Yeah, shot by the police or by some random trying to rob him or anything. If they put a hot one in him, I won't be surprised because they all think he's strapped up all the time anyway.
Maybe he'll
Yeah,
get
I mean, there was a gangbanger recently that did an interview, a Crip that was talking about him throwing up Crip signs in the middle of games. He doesn't know why he's doing that. He's not associated with it. I'm like, Ja needs help. Nobody really wants to say it. He needs help. And I don't know what kind of help. I just hope he gets it, because once he catches the wrong attention like that, it just goes bad from there. And to your point, Greg, at some point, people are going to make an assumption and things are going to go really wrong. And that's not the kind of news I want to wake up to and see. I'd rather wake up and see, hey, Ja just won Game 7. They won an NBA championship. I don't want to see the other kind of news there. So, yeah, shout out to Ja. We hope to see you back on the court soon. Take it all in stride, and we'll all be rooting for you. Now, speaking of rooting, so we take it home today with our final topic, right? I like leadership. You know the best part of leadership? Point guards, NBA. So, I want to talk about your top 5 point guards, right? Not my top 5, not your top 5. What is personal to you, right? Here's why that's important. A lot of times we do top 5s and everybody tries to get universal with things. I want to hear what works for you. T, we're going to start with you. What is your favorite top 5 point guards in the game?
My favorite 5 of all time.
All time.
So I got Steph on my list.
Nice.
Magic on my list.
Ooh.
Isaiah on my list. I've got surprisingly, I got Chris Paul on my list. I think he's a really great point guard. And the last one I put on there, I keep flipping back and forth, but I think I'm going to go with Oscar Robertson on my number in my top 5 there. So I mean, I got Steph for obvious reasons. I mean, he's the greatest shooter that ever lived. His spacing, his the way that he makes the game flow, opens up the defense, changed everything. I mean, he's easily one of the greatest players to ever play. Magic. I mean, come on, man. The guy is electric. He made the assist cool. He invented Showtime. I mean, I guess anyone who's ever watched basketball or who will ever watch basketball will always be in awe of his crazy no-look passes and the way that he was able to run the break, and also his leadership. Same with Steph, of course. All these guys are great leaders. What I liked, what I thought was extremely wise on Magic's part was how he was, showed deference to Kareem when he got there. Called him captain, and I think that really kept things together, kept the team together. So I give him high marks for that. Zeke, or Isaiah Thomas, if you don't know that he's called Zeke, is one of 2. The other one being Steph, guys that are under 6'3" or something, that was able to lead a team to a championship. I mean, absolutely incredible that he was able to do that. Extremely skilled, very tough. The team around him, I don't think was as good as Steph's teams. And maybe the last one. I mean, Steph, he really put him on his back on this last one. But at the time when Zeke did it, I mean, Jordan was in the league, Magic was in the league, Bird was in the league. He was just extremely tough man, a brilliant basketball player. And Oscar Robertson, triple-double, average triple-double. He was very consistent for all of his career, actually. One of the greats. I mean, he got to play within Lou Alcindor and got a championship, but other than that, he didn't really have, I guess, great teams around. for the most part. And then Chris Paul, he made my list not just because of his knowledge of the game and his ability to be a floor general, but his defense. He's made so many all defense teams. I got to give the man a lot of credit for that, for being his size and being so active on both ends of the floor. That's my 5.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna jump in here, right? So my number 1 is Magic Johnson. When I first was a kid and I got to see my first NBA game, it was Magic Johnson, and I've never, even to this day, seen anybody do the things that he does with the ball. It literally was just insane. And then you get old enough and you go back and learn the things like you said, where you show deference to Kareem. Listen, great leader, great ball player. For me, top 5. He's the number 1 point guard. Number 2, Isaiah Thomas. If there was no Magic, it would be Isaiah. The little guy who went out there and got it done, slayed all the giants, beat everybody, and somehow still didn't get the credit for it. I think he played on a bum ankle, a really bad ankle, and had that 25 and 16 in the fourth or whatever. Listen, back-to-back championships with the bad boy Pistons in an era where you had to be bad to do it. Isaiah and his whole story as well is crazy. He's just phenomenal. When you think of a pure point guard, Isaiah is right up there. He's really like a 1B. Next up, the guy who transcended the game, as I talked about off camera. I didn't know he was a point guard by title. Thanks and shout out to Greg for that. But Curry just turned the position out, turned it into something different. Steph Curry is something we've never seen. He's like the ultimate weapon for all the things people would say about his defense. His offense is so potent that it's like it almost doesn't matter what he does. Like he can go off at any time in a way where he literally catches the ball. If he has like a half an inch, he shoots, it's going in. He's just that great. And again, something you've never seen. My next up at number 4, CP3. I watched his story from when he was at Wake Forest and just watched him grow into a great ball player. He's a floor general of the highest order. I hate that he's never gotten a chance to really win a championship, but other than that, he's had a phenomenal career. And if you watch what he did recently with Oklahoma City about a couple years ago, he took that team from nothing to, I don't know if they made the playoffs or were close, but that showed me a lot. When people had questions about him, I'm like, nah, he's that guy. So definitely top 5. And my number 5 is going to be controversial. I went back and forth, but he's one of the first point guards I saw as a kid as well. Mark Price. I love Mark Price, love his game. He's tough, made the teammates better, did a lot of winning, and he was a hellified shooter and also free throw shooter. So shout out to Mark Price there. Nice. Greg, I'll throw it to you.
Right. Now, this question, are we talking about best or favorite? Because there's a difference for me.
Whatever is the best for you. For you, the best for you.
Oh, well, if we're just going by best, then I'm going to give you what the best is. All right. Number 1, obviously Magic Johnson. We don't got to say that. And not only that, he's number 1 for point guards and just nicknames. That is the dopest nickname of all times. Magic Johnson.
That's pretty close.
Solid. Just the best. Number 2, Steph Curry. I mean, unstoppable. Greatest shooter of all times. And it's not even a question. Not only is he him and Isaiah Thomas, the only small guards to really lead their team, he's done it 4 times. So, and, just highlights after highlights after highlights. He's a monster. Plus, I've never seen that skin tone with that great of hair, and I'm a fan of that. I dig that. Number 3, Isaiah Thomas, just for obvious reasons. I would say pound for pound, next to A.K.A, he's the toughest dude that's ever played in the league. He's got to be up there. It's either A.K.A number 1 and he's number 2, or vice versa. But Isaiah Thomas he's a go hard dude, and I love the fact that he's such a man about his business. He's really great. And when you learn his whole story about where he comes from in Chicago, his family, his how they were leaders in the Black community in Chicago growing up, he's just an incredible dude with an incredible story. I love Isaiah Thomas. So number 3, I'm gonna go with
You're on 4.
John Stockton. Oh yeah, number 4. My bad. Number 4, I'm gonna go with John Stockton. John Stockton is probably the most underrated point guard in the history of this game. In all honesty, he probably should be higher on everyone's list, including mine. Most assists ever, most steals ever. If he had only found a way to get a championship, he probably would be much higher on everybody's list. But he was a dog. I mean, he was a dog on defense, a dog on offense, extremely scrappy. And from what I hear, someone you don't want to play with, John will put them hands on you. You don't want to mess with John. Yeah, John. He looks like an accountant, but you can only thing you can count on is his hands touching you. And you can count on that. John Stockton, very, very underrated. He looks like a church boy. He looks like he should be sitting next to Joel Osteen in a pulpit. He looks very humble and everything else, but he's a dog on the court.
Still, guys.
Come on.
You get extra points for playing with Malone. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that takes a point from you.
I'm in for being able to play with them for all that time.
Oh yeah. I mean, they should be in the best. They're the best 1-2 punch to never win.
Yo, Malone had the wackest signature dunk ever.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll never disrespect Malone on the court. Off the court, Karl Malone is trash.
That's what I'm talking about.
He is the worst person.
That's what I'm talking about.
Probably in the history of the NBA. He's a horrible dude. Great player though. I'll pick him up on my team, but after the game, we're not kicking it. But,
no.
And, number 5, I'm gonna go with Chris Paul, just because of he's basically Black John Stockton. The only difference is my only reason that he can't be higher is because of the injury proneness of his career. So Chris Paul probably would have got a chip by now, but if he wasn't, it's like clockwork. Second, third round of playoffs, go ahead and get that ambulance ready. Get him some crutches. It's coming. He's gonna get hurt.
94 Madden ambulance comes to pick him up off the court.
Yep, just ding 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 ding. Just come on out.
Yeah.
They bring once they gets to round 2, they just bring crutches to the game and they measure them to his armpit heights. They know what's gonna happen. So that's my only thing with Chris Paul. Outside of that, I mean, as far as just pure point guard, he's right up there with Magic and Isaiah as far as what to do as a pure point guard. He's just a great forward general and very tenacious on defense. A little dirty at times, but we can look past that.
I mean, the little nut punches, it keeps the game lively.
Every now and then, he's hitting someone with a nutmeg and he's on this WWF.
I left that part out.
You know what's funny though? He doesn't even try to hide it. Like the ref will be right there. Chris Paul turn around and be like, "Gotcha," and keep dribbling up court too. He's not even looking for a fight. He's like, "Yeah, you gotta expect that."
Yeah. And I got 2 honorable mentions. Now, my favorite, 2 guys that I love watching. That's why I asked if it was best or favorite. Now, if it was going by favorite, Tim Hardaway. I love Tim Hardaway. That crossover, going to the hole. Plus, he was people don't give him the credit for it. Tim Hardaway is a horrific shit talker. One of the best.
Let me guess who your other honorable mention is then. Is it Gary Payton?
It should be, but it isn't. It's Russell Westbrook.
Okay. Oh,
I'm not mad at that.
Russell Westbrook play is just the greatest seesaw thing I've ever seen in my life. I've seen this guy do things. Just an amazing player, and just a guy who will do some of the most bonehead plays you'll see in your life too. He's like JaVale McGee as a point guard. It's just like
that's not accurate. I don't like
it. It really isn't accurate. Only his bonehead plays are very JaVale McGee-ish. But as far as him as a straight up player, monster. There's very few dudes that can really, really rock with Russell Westbrook offensively. He's amazing. If he only developed a better jumper in his career, he'd be in the conversation for who's the best playing right now.
He'd be unstoppable if he did that.
You said what?
He'd be unstoppable. Like they can't really. His first step is insane.
Yeah, his first step.
Still is. Yeah.
The way he launches, even his. He's got great court vision too. And people, you don't average a triple double without great court vision. I know that. So yeah. I love watching Russell Westbrook play.
All right.
I'm there because Russ was on my honorable mentions for sure. But Aj, take us home.
Well,
your favorite top 5.
Well, I have the obvious list of the best, not necessarily my favorite. I'll tell you some of my favorites of all time afterwards. But as far as the best, who are also in my favorites, I had at number 5. I had Stockton for obvious reasons. At 4, I had Oscar for obvious reasons. At 3, I had Steph Curry. Couldn't decide whether he was really a point guard or not. I consider him a shooting guard, but I mean, regardless of what you call him, call him. You know what I mean? So number 2, I had Isaiah because, I mean, for obvious reasons. And number 1, I had Bob Cousy. So I think that's just the way I had Magic Johnson.
Bro, you see my face? I was like,
I was gonna try to slide past it too. I was like, I have Bob Cousy. Now let me just talk about.
You need to settle down. Yeah, settle down there, Mad Dog.
No. I had Magic Johnson. I had Magic Johnson. Now, as far as point guards that I just adored, as far as their game and things like that, Mark Jackson, I adored his game. Thought he was awesome. Loved Gary Payton. Fab 5, Jalen Rose was dope.
Jalen was great.
But if I had to pick one guard where if they played out all the way through, who would be on this list, no doubt, it's Penny Hardaway.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway would have been.
Yeah,
I forget about Penny.
Tough.
Yeah,
because his career was so short. That's why I couldn't put him on here. Watching,
there is a clip of Penny. He does this weird in and out move.
Oh, that half spin where he
back. And at the bottom it says, "Yo, tell me if you didn't watch this less than 5 times to see what he did." And I watched it 10 times and I still couldn't figure it out. It was amazing. But it was Penny Hardaway. It was like it was just stuff that he did regularly. So
it was one of his signatures.
Yeah,
he was a monster.
If I could have watched anybody's career, I guess
if I could take away his injuries.
Him and Grant are the 2 that I really wish I would have had a chance to see all the way through.
That's it. They both got robbed by injuries.
Yeah,
we're talking about 2 guys that Grant Hill was on his way to being in the Jordan conversation, and Penny was on his way to being in the Magic conversation.
I mean,
Grant Hill was nasty.
Yeah, I got one more point guard that I love watching that I should have put on here too, but Kyrie Irving. Let's just be honest here. Like, despite what you think about Kyrie as a dude, whatever you say, Kyrie's a monster. He is a problem there. Skill level off the charts.
I mean, I would take Damian Lillard before him, but as far as skill level,
so would I.
Nobody better.
Yeah, so would I.
Wait, you would take him in what regard? If you remove all Kyrie's personal shit and you talk about just ball, you would take Lillard over Kyrie?
No, I would take Lillard. I would take Lillard. Lillard is a fantastic leader.
Yeah, true.
Very good leader. He's the anti-Kyrie in that.
Yeah, Damian Lillard is just basically diet Steph Curry. Like, I would definitely take him. But his range is ridiculous.
I think he had it at Weber State, but it's just in the NBA. I felt like when he felt like he was being underrated, that's when the monster came out and he just turned it up. His first couple years, he was cool. He was good. But then it was like somebody said something and he just raised it up like he went scorched earth. And I'm like, damn. And now he's talking about being traded. And he keeps talking about it every day. So whoever he goes to, I hope he goes to. What? Go ahead.
I was saying, I hope he ends up going to Boston. I was gonna say New York, go to the Knicks, but Brunson's there. Yeah, they no need to do that.
Brunson's very good.
No.
But yeah, you put him there in Boston, or there's a couple places that he could go, but Boston, I feel like, is the place where he can really shine.
I told y'all, man, the Wolves don't lose to the champs. See what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Listen, Heat and 9, baby. Heat and 9. But ladies and gents,
or LA.
I'm not mad at that.
They'd win a chip.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about Anthony Davis at that point. Like, listen, I could do a whole episode on why AD's inconsistency is just so frustrating and it's just insane. Because they actually, if AD, he had one job against Denver. And this isn't shorting Jokic at all because Jokic is a monster. But Jokic can't jump like that. AD can, even if he gets hurt when he lands. But the key is, all jokes aside, if he locked up and bodied up against Jokic?
That's not gonna happen. I don't believe that.
I know, but
look,
listen,
I don't fault nobody for getting burnt all the way up by Jokic. I don't know.
Wait. Hear me out.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Dwight Howard in 2020. Why did the Lakers win that championship? Because Jokic was still killing AD. He killed AD that whole series. It was Dwight Howard's defense that killed him. He was bodying him up because Jokic can't back down Howard. Tristan Thompson gave him problems in like 5 minutes and gave him buckets. Everybody on this call right now has more offensive moves than Tristan Thompson, okay? Tristan Thompson gave him the old man back down. He turned around. His drop step was so slow. He was like, he couldn't believe he did it. But he can still move the puppet.
Nobody's saying Anthony Davis shouldn't have got buckets on Jokic. I'm saying stopping Jokic is not going to happen. That's what I'm saying.
I think Dwight Howard
getting buckets on him, fair enough. Keeping Jokic from getting buckets, not going to happen. And I don't know why. There's no.
Well, he has immaculate footwork. I'll be honest. He's good. Like the footwork is insane.
He's ridiculous.
Jokic is more aggressive this year than he was in the past.
Yeah.
True.
I told you, Jokic is the Tyson Fury of basketball. I don't understand what's going on right now. I don't know how he's winning. It doesn't seem like he should, and it's clear that he's better than you. But it just looks bad while he's doing it. I don't know.
He's just having fun. He'll turn around and be like, and the basket goes in. It's all net. That's what's insane.
Yeah,
so he's actually pretty work, but it's.
I got nothing for you. He's a beast.
Like I think he hit a 3-pointer last night, and it's the way that he shoots too, where nobody was on him.
He's like,
but if you just but if you just looked at the shot zoomed in, you're like, he's not making that. Yeah, bottom of the net. Yeah, it's like just some kind of motion where you're like, how? But
yeah, Jokic is turning to a level where
the elbow straight when you see like that, forces his elbow straight like Larry Bird.
Whatever it is, it's now to me it's more surprising when he misses than makes now. Like if he misses, it's like, oh, didn't see that coming. Like that's how good he is now. He's hitting the Curry level of offense where you're shocked if he misses.
Okay, just a quick bonus topic though, real quick before we wrap for today, right? Everybody's now saying Jokic is top big man of all time, and some people are saying he might eventually be. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
No.
That was my reaction. I'm like, I'm watching people talk about this, and I'm like, no. The dream is still
top 15 all time.
Yeah, he's already got man.
He's top 15.
Yeah, he's easily top 15 of all time.
He'll be top 10 if he wins it. He'll be top 10 big man of all time if he wins his title. I mean, why wouldn't he be? You can't really.
I can give him that. I can give him top 10 big men of all time.
I can't give him top 5.
He'd have to win another one, but yeah.
He got to win a couple. Because in order for him to do that, he's got to pass. We're talking about top 10, top 5 big men. We're talking about Shaq, Wilt, Bill Russell. Would you put Tim Duncan in there?
Green.
I would.
No.
Yeah, because he could play the 5. He played, even though he was 4, he would play the 5 occasionally.
Yeah. I traditionally look at him as a 4, but do what.
Okay, well,
I ain't mad at
that. You don't have him in there. You still got Kareem and Hakeem. He ain't there yet.
He's not messing with Hakeem.
Well, he's still behind Ewing and Robinson and people like that, technically. So
David Robinson,
he's right there with them right now.
Right, he's in there with them. But if he leads them to a title by himself, then not by himself, but as a lead.
Yeah. He's gonna get
the MVP of the finals when they win. That's for sure.
Oh,
Jamal's cooking, but yeah.
Yeah, if he didn't just burn his hands,
but it ain't Jamal's team.
True. Well, guess what? Monday night is probably going to get closed out. So listen, we'll see you then.
Nuggets of 5.
Nuggets of 6.
We appreciate y'all tuning in.
I kind of wanted to stretch this series.